Wacko that told him that though.
Because his statement in
Bro, what you mean?
Damn, Triple
Because
OG.
been 3
obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court.
Triple OG.
Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case,
about
fool.
the gun case, bullshit?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
They will give you
case,
your
gang.
time.
I'll say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and his internet.
Wack 100 been running his mouth for years. Loud, messy, always accusing folks of being snitches. But now, everything just flipped on its head. A leaked tape came out and it's shaking the whole game. And guess who people say dropped it? None other than 21 Savage. Now folks got questions, and they ain't small ones either. That old 2005 case is crawling back out the dirt. Now people looking at Wack like, hold up, was he double-crossing the whole time? Think about it. The loudest dude in the room, always barking about rats. Turns out he might have been playing both sides. That's wild. All it took was one little glimpse of a badge from his past to get people looking at him sideways. And what's crazier, the tape itself ain't even the craziest part. It's who let it loose. Word on the street is this wasn't no random leak. This was calculated. People saying 21 Savage strategically dropped that tape himself. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but like he'd been waiting for the perfect time to strike. And can you really blame him? Wack been throwing dirt on his name for years, saying he's a rat, saying he cut deals just to dodge heat, even dragging him into that messy YSL situation. But 21, he kept cool, barely said a word, played it quiet, until now. If 21 really leaked that tape, that's not sneak dissing, that's a power move. He clapped back without even talking. Silent revenge, no back and forth, just a slick checkmate. And when you zoom out, it starts looking real fishy. Like maybe Wack been calling everybody else out just so nobody would start poking around his closet. Cause this ain't the first time whispers been circling about him being tied up in Fed business. Just a few months back, Big U was facing RICO charges and things got spooky quick. Right before Big U turned himself in, he dropped a whole video straight up accusing Wack 100 of working with the feds. That wasn't gossip. That was a direct accusation straight to camera. But here's where it gets shady. Before the blogs even caught wind of the case, before the paperwork dropped, Wack already knew what was coming. Yup, that's facts. He messaged Big U's wife like it was a 911 emergency, warning her he had to dip quick. That don't sound like someone trying to help. That sounds like somebody who already knew the raid was coming. Like how would he know unless someone told him first? It's not adding up. And what did Wack do after Big U got grabbed? He hopped online like nothing happened, tried to flip the script, said Big U was the one working with the feds, claimed he was using an old BlackBerry to run his mouth. But that excuse didn't land like he hoped. Instead of clearing his name, it just made people stare harder. Like, why you always the first one to speak on stuff? How you always in the middle of the mess, but never get touched? Seriously, how's Wack always plugged into every raid, every arrest, every Fed whisper, but his name never shows up in a case? How you always close to the fire, but never get burned? That call to Big U's wife? It ain't look like protection. It looked like someone trying to cover both ends. Warn the same man you helped line up. That ain't loyalty. That's chess moves. After that whole situation, folks started eyeing Wack real different. The whole street enforcer image, it don't hit the same anymore. Now it's looking like maybe he's just been playing the background, blending in, pulling strings from the shadows, and keeping his hands clean while everyone else gets caught up. But to really break down how deep this goes, you gotta spin the clock way back, all the way to 2005. The timing, the clues, even the so-called code name, it's all too perfect. Fast forward to now, and Wack 100's face is everywhere. He's online non-stop, dropping videos, running his mouth, dragging names like Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, even Jay Diggs, acting like he's the street's final boss, judge, jury, and executioner, like he's the one-man truth squad or something. But here's where things start looking funny. When you dig into his past, especially that arrest back in 2005, it just don't line up with the tough guy image he's pushing today. Back then, this man was a convicted felon caught with 3 loaded guns stashed in his trunk. That ain't small time trouble. That's serious time, Fed level heat, the type of case that usually ends dreams before they even start. So what happened? How did he walk away from that without a scratch? No big trial, no court drama, not even a media headline, just poof, case dismissed in the interest of justice. Say what? That's not normal, not for that kind of charge. And now, nearly 2 decades later, boom, a leaked clip pops up showing what looks like a police ID inside Wack's wallet. Just a blink and you miss it moment. But it hit hard. That tiny flash brought everything back. Not just the badge, but the real question. What really went down in 2005? What did Wack hand over to walk away so clean? Cause that kind of magic don't happen for free. That ain't how real cases end, not like that. Especially for a guy who built his whole name on calling everybody else a snitch. Yeah, that part got people really watching now. There's one word Wack throws around more than any other: snitch. That's his favorite weapon. Anytime a rapper catches a charge, makes a deal, or even just pulls up to court, Wack's the first one online pointing fingers, screaming on Clubhouse, calling folks rats. When Gunna took his plea deal, Wack lost his mind. He swore he had a 2-hour video of Gunna supposedly talking to the cops. Even said he'd leak it if Gunna didn't admit it himself. But guess what? That tape never showed up. Not then, not ever. All bark, no receipts, just noise and pressure. He pulled the same move on BG, a man who sat down for over 10 years. And still, Wack threw dirt on his name, saying BG snitched too. But again, no documents, no proof, just loud talk. And here's the twist. BG's own cellmate came forward and vouched for him, said BG never folded, not once. Stayed solid the whole time, but Wack didn't blink. He just kept pushing that same tired story. No paperwork, no evidence, just vibes and volume. And the wild part, it works. At least on folks who don't look too deep. To them, he sounds like he's keeping it real, like he's protecting the code. But for those actually paying attention, the cracks are showing. Cause here's the pattern. Every time things get hot for Wack, every time someone starts sniffing around his past, he turns the spotlight. Suddenly, someone else is shady. Someone else is telling. Someone else is the snake. He flips the script so fast it's like watching a movie. But when you really sit with it, the loudest voice in the room ain't always the realest. Sometimes, it's just the one trying to drown out the truth. So what does this say about all the stories we've been hyping up for years? The ones we shared, boosted, and backed like they were solid. What does it say about the platforms we hand out like candy? No background check, no questions, just vibes and followers. People laugh about it now, throw memes around, treat it like it's just another online joke. But let's be real, this ain't funny. If someone's really out here playing both sides, gaining fame off other folks crashing and burning while staying squeaky clean, that should matter. And it's not just about whether Wack 100 lied, it's about whether we fell for it this whole time. That's the real twist. The wildest part, this ain't about one little leaked tape or a hot mic moment. It's about a pattern that's been right in our faces for years. Only now are people starting to actually pay attention. Wack 100 ain't some random that stumbled into fame. He's been right there, next to the chaos, close to the action, always in the mix, yet somehow never touched. He talks like a street legend but moves like a tactician, like he's playing chess while everyone else playing checkers. And when you start connecting the dots, it's clear. None of his moves were by accident. Clubhouse? That wasn't just a spot for him to blow off steam. That was his stage, a setup, a whole trap disguised as conversation. He knew what he was doing, baiting folks into talking too much, stacking up sound bites, spinning rumors just enough to get traction. While others were yelling, defending themselves, tripping over words, Wack. He was sitting back, calm, recording, steering the convo like a puppet master behind the curtain, smooth with it. And even when he does get caught slipping, it never sticks. That 2005 gun case disappeared. The tip-off during the Rico drama? Quiet. That badge flashing in the wallet. Still no real answers. Every time someone pulls a receipt, he dodges it with more noise, more drama. just enough to distract people from looking too deep into his mess. But now, what's got folks really uncomfortable? It's bigger than just Wack. It's the idea that there might be others just like him. How many big names got blackballed, smeared, or straight up shut down because someone behind the scenes was moving dirty, feeding stories, recording convos, dodging the law while pulling strings like a ghostwriter of drama? If this is how power gets built in the industry, by playing games, flipping narratives, and moving slick in the shadows, then what does that say about everything else we've been watching? How much of it is even real? How much of the street code, loyalty, and respect is just smoke? Wack might not be the only one doing this, but he's definitely the loudest. And that puts a spotlight on him like never before. Everyone's watching now. But look at how quiet the rest of the industry stays. For a man who talks so wild, throws shots left and right, stays in everybody's business, you'd think way more folks would have checked him by now. But they haven't. And maybe that silence says more than anything else. And if even half of this story turns out to be real, then the game ain't just rigged, it's been compromised. Wack 100 spent years selling the image, the one who's keeping it real, the self-appointed watchdog of the culture, the dude who swore he stood on street code, called out the phonies, and held folks accountable. But now, people are staring back, eyes wide open, finally asking the one question that had been floating in silence for way too long. Was the loudest voice in the room wired up from day one? Because if that's the case, if Wack's been moving with protection this whole time, leaking whatever he wants, secretly recording folks, sliding past federal level heat without a scratch, then we gotta face a hard truth. This whole culture, it's been played. Beefs that look personal might have been tactical, leaks that looked random could have been orchestrated, careers got built, destroyed, or reshaped. Not from the streets, but from whispers behind the curtain and someone saying, push record. And the craziest part, he ain't hiding. He's not ducking off, laying low, or going quiet. He's still loud, still posting, still sending shots like he knows nothing can touch him. Like he's holding that last wild card, just waiting for the perfect time to flip it and blow the whole house down. What if whatever he says next is the spark that sets this entire thing on fire? So don't blink now. Stay locked in. Because if this unraveling keeps spinning the way it's going, what started as just whispers in some dusty comment section could explode into the biggest shakeup the industry's ever seen. This ain't over, not even close. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and make sure you stay tapped in. Because when the next piece drops, you already know. We're gonna break it all the way down.